Most airline passengers think the hardest part of flying is dealing with delays, security lines, or cramped seats. But ask a flight attendant, and they'll tell you something surprising. Many of the biggest problems on flights actually come from small passenger habits that people don't even realize they're doing. Things that slow down boarding, things that frustrate crew members, and sometimes things that make a flight less comfortable for everyone on board. The truth is, flight attendants see thousands of passengers every year. They notice the patterns. They know which habits make flights smoother and which ones quietly create chaos in the cabin. In today's video, we're going to explore 12 things flight attendants wish passengers knew before flying. Some of these might surprise you. Some might completely change how you travel. And one small habit near the end of this video could make your next flight noticeably more comfortable. Let's start with something that happens during almost every single boarding process. One of the biggest slowdowns during boarding happens in the aisle. You've probably seen it before. A passenger stops in the aisle while searching through their bag, adjusting their jacket, or organizing their belongings. Meanwhile, dozens of people behind them are waiting to move forward. Flight attendants deal with this every day. Experienced travelers prepare for this moment before they even step onto the plane. They keep essential items, phones, headphones, books, chargers, ready in a small personal bag or seat pocket. That way, once they reach their row, they can quickly store their carry-on and sit down without blocking the aisle. It may seem like a small thing, but when every passenger boards efficiently, the entire process becomes faster and less stressful. And that leads directly to another habit that flight attendants quietly appreciate. Overhead bin space is one of the most common sources of tension on flights. Passengers sometimes place small items like backpacks or jackets in the overhead bins, leaving less space for larger carry-on bags. When this happens repeatedly throughout the cabin, it creates a chain reaction. Passengers further back suddenly discover there is no room left for their luggage. Flight attendants then have to search for space or check bags at the last minute. Frequent travelers avoid this issue by placing smaller items under the seat in front of them whenever possible. This small act of consideration helps ensure that overhead bins remain available for larger bags. And when passengers work together like this, the boarding process becomes far smoother. Seat reclining is one of the most debated topics in air travel. Technically, airplane seats are designed to recline. But that doesn't mean timing and awareness aren't important. Flight attendants often see situations where passengers recline suddenly during meal service or when someone behind them is using a laptop. Experienced travelers usually recline slowly and briefly check behind them first. It's a small gesture, but it can prevent uncomfortable situations between passengers. Air travel places many people in close proximity, and small acts of courtesy can go a long way toward keeping the cabin environment comfortable. Here's something many passengers don't realize. Window shades can affect the entire cabin environment. During certain phases of flight, especially takeoff and landing, flight attendants may ask passengers to raise their window shades. This isn't random. It allows the crew to quickly assess conditions outside the aircraft in case of an emergency. But even during cruising altitude, opening or closing window shades can affect lighting in the cabin. If most passengers are resting, opening a bright window shade suddenly can disrupt the atmosphere. Seasoned travelers pay attention to the cabin environment and adjust accordingly. The call button above your seat is there for a reason. Passengers should absolutely use it if they need assistance. However, flight attendants sometimes receive call requests for things passengers could easily retrieve themselves during service periods. Experienced flyers often wait until beverage or meal service if their request is not urgent. This helps crew members manage their workload more efficiently. Remember, flight attendants are responsible for the safety and comfort of everyone on board. Using the call button thoughtfully helps them focus on the tasks that matter most. Another common issue flight attendants notice involves carry-on luggage. Some passengers pack their carry-on bags so tightly that retrieving items mid-flight becomes a complicated process. This leads to passengers repeatedly opening overhead bins during the flight. Every time this happens, it increases the chance that items might fall or shift. Frequent travelers pack their carry-ons strategically. Important items are placed in easily accessible pockets or smaller personal bags. This reduces the need to open overhead bins frequently during the flight. Airplane seating can sometimes feel like a puzzle of shared space. Passengers often wonder who gets the armrests in the middle seat rows. A commonly accepted travel etiquette guideline is simple. The passenger in the middle seat typically receives priority for the armrests. Why? Because they have the least personal space compared to window and aisle seats. While this isn't an official rule, many experienced travelers follow it as a courtesy. Small gestures like this can make shared spaces more comfortable for everyone. One of the most common habits flight attendants notice happens right after landing. As soon as the plane touches down, many passengers stand up immediately, even when the seatbelt sign is still on. This can create congestion in the aisle and slow down the deplaning process. Experienced travelers usually remain seated until the rows ahead begin moving. When passengers exit row by row in an orderly way, everyone leaves the plane more efficiently. Patience in these moments often leads to a smoother exit for everyone. Finally, there is something flight attendants mention again and again. Kindness matters. Flying can be stressful for passengers, but it can also be demanding for crew members who manage long shifts, safety responsibilities, and hundreds of travelers each day. Passengers who say hello, smile, and treat crew members respectfully often receive the same positive energy in return. In many cases, small gestures of kindness make the flight experience better for everyone on board. Air travel brings together people from all over the world inside a shared space high above the ground. In that environment, small habits can have a big impact. When passengers prepare thoughtfully, respect shared space, and remain aware of those around them, flights become smoother and more comfortable for everyone. Many of these habits may seem simple, but they reflect the experience of people who travel frequently and understand how the system works. If you found these insights helpful, consider subscribing to Journey Genius for more travel tips, flying insights, and smart strategies that make every journey easier. And if you travel often, share your own flying tips in the comments. Your experience might help another traveler on their next trip. Safe travels, and we'll see you in the next video.